Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new American Tier 8 Premium Medium tank, the Flamethrower M67. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Flamethrower M67, I did say it was new, it's not really new, it's the unskinned version of the Soldier On. And it's a worse version of the Soldier On. Just like the Leclerc Ares prototype to the P-Cells and the TO-55 to the Senjutsu, there is a statistical set of differences between this vehicle and its skinned version. And like I say, generally I think it's worse than the Soldier On because it's slower, while also still having a lot of the other downsides of that vehicle, which is a sad time. Add to that, there's also a lot of competition for Tier 8 American Premium Medium tanks, like the M48A2, which is near enough identical to this, but has a way better gun, generally, just because of penetration. You've got similar armour as well as that tank. You've got the T99, the M26 T99, the Rocket Pershing, the TL1 LPC. There's a lot of American vehicles that are a lot better than this tank, and it's not the greatest vehicle in the universe. I didn't really particularly enjoy playing it because it's slow. The AP penetration is old school low, which is a struggle at times, and because the gun accuracy can be a bit derpy as well, it makes using that AP round at times really frustrating. The turret armour can be good as long as they don't hit the cupola on top. The hull armour generally gets penned all the time, but you've got a boat-shaped hull which helps you to side-scrape quite effectively too. So you've got the ability to have basically a utility in your armour, but at the same time you still struggle to push out the damage at times. And add to that you have a flamethrower as your main round, which takes a little bit too long generally to get the damage out. It's got niche edge case uses for against really heavily armoured vehicles, but generally again it just takes too long to do the damage, and those vehicles then wreck you anyway. So yeah, it's just one of those. It's a bit of pain. It can be useful when you've knocked a tank down to one-shot capacity, or very close to one-shot capacity, and you can't actually pen them because they're side-scraping really well. You just load the flamethrowers and you just flame them, and that's how they die. But yeah, the M67, like I say, is just not the best vehicle in the universe, personally, from me. So let's get into the statistics of the Flamethrower M67. You've got a 45km/h top speed, 20km/h reverse speed, 810 horsepower engine, which is 17.42 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you've got a good horsepower per ton ratio. You do get up to 45 kilometers an hour, and with the 1.6, 0.7 and 0.6 on ground resistances, they don't hold it back whatsoever. So it's not really that sluggish in getting there. And if you were to run the traction system, you would get to the 49 kilometers an hour top speed you would have with the traction system. But 45 as a top speed is a bit slow for a medium tank indeed. 32 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed means it turns decently quickly on its tracks. It's not absolutely rapid to turn left and right, but it's also not slow. It's one of those where it's just okay. You've got 390 meters of view range, which is good enough to spot for yourself pretty easily in the M67. It's actually slightly above the Tier 8 average as well, because Tier 8s generally have about 380 on average, so 390 is quite nice for it. 375 meters of still concealment isn't great, and 390 on the move concealment again isn't great, which is why I run camouflage expertise and silent driving to be able to get the camo down that little bit more, just to try and help it be a bit more medium tanky and getting unspotted and staying unspotted for a bit longer to be able to do damage, because it does help. Because like I say, most of the time most things hit this, they just generally pen it. You've got 36 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed. Now, if you know me, that's great. That's faster than the tracks, which is lovely. A 1.38 accuracy during rotation with a 2.16 accuracy during movement isn't good. And generally, as a pair, means the aim circle blooms out massively here on the M67, which is generally a bit of pain, which is why you have to help out the gun as much as humanly possible with the gun stabilizer, with food, with all three gun perks, all that good stuff. You've got 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters, though, which is pretty accurate for a base stat as well, which is nice. It's more the shell velocity that makes it feel derpy in terms of the way the gun is. 2-second aim time as well means that you do aim in pretty quickly, and you'll knock that down to a decent level when you've got it fully kitted out. You've got 12 degrees of gun depression, which is absolutely fantastic here for the M67, same as it is on the M48A2 and on the Soldier. Means that you can use ridge lines very, very effectively here in this Flamethrower tank M67. You got a 5.5 second reload, but that is for your flamethrower. If you use the AP or the heat, it's actually a 5.7 second reload. So bear that in mind with the setup that I have, by the way. 5.7 seconds with the setup when I get it fully kitted out. But that's for your flamethrower, because for some reason it doesn't state anywhere the different reloads for AP and the flame, because AP and heat obviously have the same reload. The flamethrower has that slightly lower reload to get the flames in. You've got 100 pen on the flamethrower, which, yeah, the flamethrowers don't pen, they just do damage. So I don't know why it lists that, but there you go. 258 pen on the premium AP, or premium heat, sorry, and 192 pen on the AP. So you got premium heat rounds at 258 pen, 192 pen on the standard AP, which is your third shell, which is something you're always going to have to get used to when you play this vehicle, is every time you start up the game, you're going to have to immediately switch to your third shell to have the AP loaded. I do kind of wish that the flamethrower was the third shell and not the first, but yeah, there you go. 192 pen on the standard AP is quite old school low, which means it struggles to pen quite a few vehicles. 258 pen on the premium is good though, and it does mean you go through most vehicles you'll face. It's only the super heavily armoured tier 10s that you really do struggle with. 914 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, with 1219 on the premium heat, means the AP is below average in terms of its velocity, which can be a bit of a struggle, but the heat rounds is pretty good in terms of its velocity, and it does fly. So if you load the heat rounds, you don't have to give quite as much lead as you do when you fire the standard AP. And you've got 150 meters a second on the flame jet as well, which means it's actually quite quick for flames, so it will get to target pretty quickly. And you have a range of 262 meters. So as long as the tank is within 262 meters of you, you will be able to hit them with the flames, which is definitely quite nice. 150% silver bonus as well means it's on the low end of silver bonuses. It does make silver, but yeah, especially when you're having to fire quite a bit of heat in a tier 9 or 10 matchup, it can struggle in that regard. So here's the modules for the vehicle. As you can see, that's where the engine block is at the back. You got that 20% internal fire chance, which is on the high end of fire chances, and generally it does get set on fire when it gets shot in that back end. So you do have to be careful of that with the M67. The ammunition blocks are there for the M67 as well. If you get shot in the back of the turret, you're likely to get your ammo rack damaged. The other thing that happens quite regularly for this vehicle is if you get shot through the drive wheel and tracked through either that one or that one, generally your ammo rack will get damaged, which can be a bit of pain for the M67. That's where the crew sits as well for the M67, so there's only a 3-man crew, so be careful that if your commander gets knocked out, no doubt he will be doing something else for your tank as well. And in terms of the armour, like I say, the armour on this tank is really good in terms of the turret armour, as long as they're not hitting that cupola there, because that cupola on top is 165mm thick. It is also rather large, as you can see, which means most vehicles will be able to pen it that will come against it, and it's a very, very easy shot for most vehicles as well. So you just got to keep yourself moving up back and forth on a ridgeline to make sure that you're going to be able to bounce the shots off of this turret front and make it as difficult as possible for them to be able to hit that cupola. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment? Well, I've stuck the crew in the T99, so let's get it back into the M67. So as you can see, I've got Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Camouflage Expertise, and Silent Driving. Silent Driving to get the camo on the move down as low as humanly possible, so that we can stay unspotted while moving into position a little bit easier, because it is dreadful if you don't help it out. Camouflage Expertise just to knock the camo down by 10%, again, just to help us stay unspotted that little bit longer. This is one of those vehicles, though, that quite happily could drop the Camouflage Expertise or the Silent Driving just to get Track Mechanic, because you can play this thing decently aggressive at times, and it's nice to be able to get the tracks back on quicker. But I do like helping the camo out just to make sure that we can stay unspotted in quite a few situations. All 3 gun perks, because, yeah, the gun is pretty atrocious if you don't help it out, so especially in terms of the accuracy during rotation and movement, we want to run all 3 gun perks so that we can make sure that we're hitting the shots, and all 5 perks you're going to run on every tank in World War II, generally. And in terms of equipment, I run the Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Gun Stabilizer to get the best out of the gun generally, so that we can hit our shots, we can snap shots a bit easier, hit shots on the move, all that good stuff, because the gun is really not very good if you don't help it out like that. The Optics to get the best out of the view range, so that we can spot for ourselves, again, because we will get out spotted quite a lot in this vehicle if we don't help out the view range, since the camo isn't that good. And the Advanced Loader to make the best out of the DPM, so that we can try and at least DPM people at times. And it's nice to always be able to make your DPM better in this vehicle. But there's plenty of ways to kit out the tank. It's always down to you and how you want to play the vehicle, as, yeah, it's how you're going to get the best out of it. You might think, you know what, actually, screw it. I feel like I'm going to get the best out of the gun. If I don't run the gun stabilizer, I'll drop that, run traction system, I'll go at 49 kilometers an hour and help the mobility, because the mobility is a bit poor. So you could definitely do that. You could also just decide to run the camo net as well instead, which, if you look at the camo, it'll knock it down to 329 meters of still concealment, which still isn't great, but it helps a lot more than the 369 that we've got giggity, which, yeah, it's just the way it is, to be fair, for the M67. It's not the best tank in the universe, and there's a lot of things that are about it that are just, you sit there going, yeah, that's not great, that's not great, yeah, that's not great, that's not great. It's one of those tanks. So let's get into the statistics now it's fully kitted out. So as you can see, we've not helped the top speed, so the top speed's the same power to weight. Ground resistances have got a little bit better. 369 meters of still concealment now, and 374 on the move concealment. It's better than it was, still not great, but it'll help it in certain situations like bush cover to stay unspotted just that little bit longer, which can be handy. But again, it's really, you don't really have to kit it out like that. The bonus you get from it isn't that much, so it's one of those that you could quite easily go without. 499 meters of view range, which is very good indeed. It helps you spot for yourself very easily in the Flamethrower tank M67. 39.1 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is pretty quick as well. It's faster than the tracks, way faster, which is definitely nice for the Flamethrower tank M67. 0.68 accuracy during rotation now, with a 1.23 accuracy during movement. A lot better than it was. A lot better than it was. It was poor without help. So we've managed to get the aim circle to... We've reined it in. We've reined in the aim circle, so it doesn't bloom out that much at all, which is definitely nice now for the M67. And a 1.84 second aim time as well means that if it does bloom out, it doesn't take long to get it fully aimed in. And as you can see, 5.5 seconds, because the Flamethrower reload doesn't actually change. But, like I say, with the AP and the heat, the reload drops down to 5.7 seconds in-game. So it's a 5.7 second reload for that 240 Alpha. But yeah, that's the statistics of the vehicle. Like I say, you could quite happily drop the gun stabilizer. If we were to do that and put the traction system on, we would go at 49.5 kilometers an hour, and your gun handling would go to 1.69 accuracy during movement and 0.84 accuracy during rotation, which again is not great, and it means the aim circle does bloom out quite a lot. But you do have a 1.84 second aim time, which means it does aim in pretty quickly anyway, so it's something that you could definitely think about for sure. And like I said, you could definitely decide to run the camo net as well, which would knock you down to 329 meters of still concealment and 334 on the move, which is a hell of a lot better than it was. Hell of a lot better. But it's still not fantastic, and it's still not good, right? It's one of those. It's really down to you and how you want to play the vehicle and how you want to get the best out of it generally. I just prefer to help everything generally, but that's on me, and really get the gun handling reined in, because the gun handling, yeah, is a bit of pain at times, because that shell velocity, especially on the AP, is just a bit slow. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this M67 in action, see how it handles, and just see if it's a bit of you or not. Oh, in fact, actually, we should have a look at the soldier on. So, while we're here, that's the statistics while we've got it fully kitted out, and with the same crew. So 45 kilometers an hour top speed. We've got the same setup over here on this tank. We've got a 51 kilometer an hour top speed. Ground resistances are about the same. Camo's about the same. View range is the same. Accuracy is 0.28, so it's slightly worse on here. The accuracy during rotation and movement is about the same. 1.93 second aim time on the soldier on is slightly worse as well. And the reload, yeah, I don't know what the reload is because I haven't played the soldier on for a bit. So, yeah, it's 5.5 on the flames. Generally, like I say, I think the M67 has minor differences to its gun, which are slightly better than the soldier on. But that loss of 6 kilometers an hour is quite big. It's a big loss. And you really feel it on this vehicle compared to the soldier on. The mobility on the soldier on is a lot nicer than it is on the M67. And while the gun handling stats are slightly better on the M67, it just generally feels worse than the soldier on because it takes that little bit longer to get into position. And you don't really feel that much of a difference in it either, which is definitely a bit of pain. But like I say, you've got also tanks like the M4082, which I don't have a crew in, but generally that penetration on the gun at 221 is so much nicer for this vehicle, as it just helps it pen so many more shots that you will bounce with the M67. But yeah, like I say, I'm going to send you into the replays. We can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, and just see if it's a bit of you or not. So as always, everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the M67. In this first game, we're here on this map, which is Highway. And we're bottom tier as well, so not the best matchup in the universe for the M67. So what we're going to do is go to the position at EF89, that little area there on that ridge line. Use the 12 degrees of gun depression that the M67 has. Go hull down and try and spot out with the 499 metres of view range that we've got, because we should be able to spot 1 or 2 as they cross into the town, especially if they come along the J line, which will feed us some assistance damage, as well as getting some early shots into them as well, which can be quite handy. And this is one of the reasons why I like to make the camo that little bit better as well, because when I sit on ridge lines like this, it means I can stay on spotted for that bit longer, as opposed to just getting insta-spotted, which is basically what the standard camo that this vehicle has does, if you don't help it, because it's just really not very good. As you can see from the aim circle, it doesn't bloom out that much at all, but you can see with the AP shells that they do tend to loop out of the gun, which is part of what makes this gun feel that bit derpy, which can be frustrating. And like I say, that's what adds into the fact that you've got the 192 pen on the AP as well, and with the shells that loop, they don't hit the right spot, they can bounce, which, yeah, can be frustrating here in the M67. So we're just going to try and be as patient as possible. We've destroyed that destructible cover, which should give us an easier shot at people as they cross up that section there, where the M48 at 120mm got spotted. So we're just, again, we're going to destroy the rest of that destructible cover in case that guy decides to drive out sideways on. But he's actually driving out just below the ridgeline, so we can't quite see it. But he does manage to end up driving into a position where we can shoot him, so we get one shot into his side, and he gets finished off by the Ruthless. Artillery's looking at us, though, so we do have to be careful here on this ridge so that we don't get hit by him, which is why we're just moving in awkward, weird ways to make it as difficult as possible for them to be able to judge where we're going, and thus we actually miss, well, we don't get hit by that artillery there. So I'm still expecting something else to get spotted. In fact, there we go. It's the fatherland that gets spotted. Our team has pushed quite aggressively out of the town, so we've won the town quite effectively. They've not really got anyone in there. So we tried to get a couple of shots into the fatherland, but it didn't quite work out. 780 gets spotted going in there as well. And just as we're about to go help the town out to go get this these heavy tanks out, we find a Progetto 65. And we missed the first shot, even though it was mostly aimed on his lower plate. I actually thought it was AFK, but he's still there because he moves. We put another shot into that lower plate as well. Hopefully get another one into his side, but he just drops below the ridge as we do it, which is just sad, sad timing. Try and get a shot into the G-Saw there, but the 192 pen AP again letting us down, which is why we bounced off that guy. Sad times. The Progetto 65 is Neo. He's Neo. He just stopped at the right moment there to avoid the shell, which is really unfortunate there, as we don't manage to get any damage on that Progetto 65 as he goes down to the Grom. So, there's 3 heavy tanks in the town. We're just going to go try and help our team out to go deal with them. We've actually got a medium tank at A2 who has spotted a couple of their TDs and 1 or 2 tanks on that opposite flank. And so I'm deciding, okay, you know what? I might push quite aggressively here. I might do what I'd say normally not to do, which is push the town, go get rid of the heavy tanks, and then push towards their base and spot for my whole team that is pushing out, because a lot of my team are pushing out of this position. So if I use the 499 meters view range, maybe I'll spot some TDs that are sitting at the back. We can get up behind this BZ-166, distract him, maybe move him on, I don't know, but we should be able to get rid of him that way, because what can happen a lot of the time is my team gets the position they're in now, see the BZ-166, hesitate for too long, and whatever is camping at the back, like where that 111 GFT is, they end up just farming them. But we spotted the 111 GFT because he fired at one of our team, and so I ended up spotting him as we were coming down the ridge. We got 1993 assistance damage, so I'm going to get up behind this BZ-166 and start shooting him in the rear. Now, I didn't expect this guy to turn around because he's got so many tanks looking at him in the front, but in fact, he just turns around to shoot me, and I'm sitting there going, why? Why did you shoot me? You had all the enemy in front of you, and you've just got one little M67 in front behind. Oh, I never get it when people do that, where they'll have 6 tanks in front of them, but they turn around to shoot the 1 tank behind them, which then gets them killed to everything in front of them. I never understand that, but hey-ho. So, we're going to go after the artillery that's just fired at us over this ridgeline. We don't see it, though. I was fully expecting to possibly find it. Fox 155 gets spotted on top of the hill. We tried to track and pen it, but we didn't track the Foch 155. We only did damage. We're up to 1993 assistance damage, 1671. Make that 1912 damage there with a shot into the 212A. Trying to get another one in, but he just ducks down, so we can't get another shot in. The Foch 155 has also moved off as well. And I decided, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to pen a Foch 155 in that little cupola with the AP that easily. So screw it, I'm going to load heat, and that way I'll go through that cupola that little bit easier with the M67. So we aim up towards that cupola, but the shot dips low and bounces on the Foch 155. We do get that pen in though to that cupola, and he dies to the T92. That's the gun handling in action again there with that first shot that bounced. I'll sit there going, oh, really? Thanks, gun. That's really good of you. So they've got one tank left on their team. It is the artillery, batch out 15558, and he's just behind the silos. Just behind the silos, so I can't quite find a shot into him. And the 430 shuts him down. We're finished with a very, very average game there for the M67, but in a tier 10 lobby with the 2.1k damage, 2.5k assistance, which is 4.5k combined. No, 4.6k combined. Quick maths, you know? 4.6k combined with the 1341 base XP. So here we are on the second replay, and this time we are on Westfield, and I love Westfield. It's a great map to play, and what we're going to do on this map is go to the middle area about F7, because we can try and spot people as they cross the JK line, get shots into their side, and then push round into a position like F6, sorry, where we can shoot and spot people as they go up the 1-2-3 line, and those that sit on the ridge line as well around C3-4. Now for a tank like the M67, we're a bit slow, which means we don't quite get to the position in the bush line that we want to get to early enough. Also, we have no camo. Well, we have camo at 369 giggity, but it's not the best camo in the universe, and it means we are quite easily spotted. Where that light tank has gone, and where he has gone, is where a lot of people tend to go, and it's not quite far enough to spot that cross that easily. The bush that you want to take is a quite aggressive one, and it's the one either here or that one on the right where the tree is. Once you go there, you spot people easily as they go up that K line. So we end up getting spotted because, yep, camo on this vehicle isn't great. We hit the T-34 through on the move. We get hit by the Draugen, though, but we find a T-26E5, which is the unskinned Patriot. We're trying RBRT the T-26E5, but, well, we missed. But we have stopped him dead in his tracks as he's tried to move up. We get a shot, though, into the side of him this time, because, like I say, the gun handling can be alright. Making sure we're fully aimed now to try and keep him tracked and penned. And the light tank is the one that's actually spotting him up now, so we aren't able to keep him lit up, but the Primo Victoria ends up shutting him down. We're up to 723 damage with 324 assistance damage, and I'm going to try and move up into a position to maybe be able to shoot the medium tanks in the rear like this Draugen. But I'm taking it slow and steady because there could be anything sitting over at G4 or F4, which could be a bit awkward if they decide to put shots into us. We just need our team to start moving up because clearly we've not moved aggressively up the AB line. A lot of our team are here, so once we win this JK line, we can then start focusing on the northern section of this map where the majority of their team are going to be. So we did get a shot into the side of that Draugen. The second shot ended up ricocheting off his front because we gave it just that little bit too much lead, leaving just the T-34-3 on the opposite flank, who once he's got shut down, we can stop worrying about being shot in the side. But we are spotting the IS-3 that's directly in front of us on our right, and I was thinking maybe I can get some shots into this IS-3 from down below. So we're just going to go have a look, see if we can, and in fact we can actually get the shots in. But he gets shut down by the Canoni Jagdpanzer. We get all the assistance damage on that, though, putting us up to 1683 assistance damage, which is lovely. We see the Jagdpanther 2, but the Jagdpanther 2 is one that we've got to be careful of, because naturally he can pen us really, really easily, but also he's got the armour that means he can actually bounce us as well quite easily too, and he can get back into that safe position that he was in very easily. We don't know if anything else is with him. In fact, we've just found the T-54. So rather than going to where the majority of my team are currently at E7, I decided, okay, I'm going to go get below the Jagdpanther 2 and this T-54. With the T-34-3 getting shut down, we don't have to worry about that direction anymore. So we just try and push down, looking through that little gap, so that if there's anything camping in their base, we'd see it, but we don't spot anything. We try and snap a shot into the Sturmtiger P, but it doesn't quite come off. Go for that lower plate shot, but it goes high and hits the upper plate and bounces, even though we had it fully aimed at that lower plate, which is a sad time. We can't pen the moisture without the heat round, so that AP round was definitely one of those that you sit there going, that was never going to work. Don't know why we took it, but there we go. So instead, I'm going to go get up behind the T-54 and the Panther 2, because that position that we're in there, a lot of our team have gone there, but there's also tanks that I can't really deal with that easily with the AP rounds or the heat from there. So what we're going to do is try and take a different position, get a crossfire going, and then de-lodge the people like the T-54 and the Panther 2. So the Panther 2 hasn't quite realised I'm here, so I'm going to ignore him as we go for the shots into the T-54. But the shot into the rear of the T-54 went to the far right and did track damage only. He's now YOLOing down after us, and with AP, we're not going to pen him. So I decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to load the Flamethrower. I'm going to load the Flamethrower, get some frames into him. But no, actually, we wanted heat, because, yep, that's a mistake you can make quite easily. And I make it all the time in this hand soldier on, as the T-54 sadly penders. And that is that if you're using AP and you think, oh, I need the heat rounds, you press A to reload the heat and go, wait, I've loaded flames. Oops. So we went for the shot into the upper plate there of the Panther 2, which with heat will go through, but we end up somehow hitting the rockery in front of him. We bounced the shot off his gun this time. Now he's fired. We know we can pull out a bit easier and get a better shot into that Panther 2 as we get that shot through his upper plate. We're up to 2,009 damage with 2,058 assistance damage, so 4k combined. Pretty decent game so far. And I just need to get into a position where I can shoot these guys up on their ridge lines in the flanks, which if I use this far left-hand section of the one line, I can actually go hull down over here, only really expose my turret. As long as they don't hit the cupola, we should be okay, and we should be able to get some extra damage into them. But we try and get a shot into the side of the superstructure of the Sturm Tiger P. But yeah, we didn't lead it well enough, and we ended up just hitting the front of the superstructure instead of the side. And so it bounced. We get a shot into the front of the Centurion 7-1, who was looking for shots at us though. And that Cent 7-1 pens us with his gun, which, with the damage he did there for a pen, I assume he must have had the 20-pounder, and he penned us with APCR, which is what I'm saying about you've got to be careful with the cupola on top of this vehicle, because that's really the only place he could have penned us by firing the APCR from that 20-pounder, and he must have just hit it. But that's because the 20-pounder also has a very good accuracy, you know. So I'm just going to have a look. I'm like, where did he pen me? I can't see it, so sure, whatever. The Motherland is over in the distance. Sadly for us, though, we're not going to get there, as he is about to get absolutely smashed by most of our team. We finished the game with a fairly average result yet again for the M67. We finished with the epic victory, the 2,469 giggity damage with the 2,058 assistance, the Confederate medal for that 1454 base XP. Decent game for the M67, I think, again, showing off the good, the bad, and the ugly of the vehicle. And we're on to this third replay. In this third replay, we're now here on this map, which is Pilsen. And on Pilsen, with the wonky spawns, well, I say wonky spawns, yeah, with the wonky spawns, really, the assault variant, which you don't see very often. Yeah, you don't see assault very often. So we're on assault here on Pilsen, and what I want to do is go hull down at a position like D4, D5, well, D4, because I can shoot people as they expose themselves on the ridgeline at D8. I can also maneuver myself onto the position on the left-hand side of this building where I can side scrape out and try and shoot people as they push around the corner at A7, A8 as well. This position is a lot better. The thing is with the assault variant at Pilsen is it becomes a very stagnant battle very, very quickly. With the standard battle variant of these spawns, where their team spawns at B9, our team spawns at J2, this position is a lot nicer because a lot of teams will try and push the AB line and push up closer to the building at C6 as well, which just gives you lots of different alternatives to how you want to fight the fight. Whereas here on the assault version of Pilsen, which you don't see very often, to be fair, but here on the assault version of Pilsen, it just turns into a war of attrition on these ridge lines because it just becomes, again, those that push a little bit too aggressively or try and make a push play tend to get punished, and then it goes downhill from there. So, we couldn't really get shots into the Conway. We bounced off the Conway. We couldn't really see any shots into anyone else. So we've actually moved into a position where we can try and get some shots here into the AMX-M449. We unfortunately bounce off the turret roof there of this AMX-M449. Went for the cheek there of the 49, but yeah, that was never going to go through. I don't really know why I went for it. Cupola shot this time, doesn't pen. The Cupola, yet again, with the heat round, which I was fully expecting to be able to go through. He finally pens us with one, we finally pen him, and we lose that trade because he has more alpha than we do. I was going to try and side scrape around this corner to try and get shots into the E75, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to give easy shots away to my butt for the AMX M449. So rather than doing that, I'm going to change positions, try and go fight somewhere else. Also, my terrible driving. I am very sorry, Mr. Huntsman. I am a bad, bad driver. So we're going to go into the low ground here so that we don't get shot by any of the TDs like the Conway that we know was over there sitting at D9. Get into the low ground where we're only exposing our turret, and now we can try and get some shots into those guys that are on those ridge lines, and also try our best to just get some sort of damage, try and get moving, because this game at the minute is a bit stagnant. We unfortunately bounced on the MX5100, sorry. We ricocheted off his upper plate. Thanks, game. It's really good of you. Because we didn't quite get the shell off in time to hit his side, and he pulled back as the shell was in transit, so it ended up just ricocheting. Because while the 5100 has no armor, it does have angles, and angles are enough to be able to ricochet shots occasionally. So we went for the shot into that 5100 again, but we just didn't quite get the reload in time to get that shot into his lower plate, and he got back round the corner. But we did bounce the shot off our turret front, because like I say, the turret armor on the M67 is solid. So you will bounce a good amount of shots off of the turret front. You've just got to be careful of that cupola. And naturally, the tier 10 premium might still go through the turret front. But for the most part, when you're against your own tier and against some tier 9s, you will still have a decent turret. So we sadly got penned by the Mantis, but we did get a shot into the 5100 because we were trying our best to just punish that 5100 for his push play. We try and snap the shot into the Conway, and naturally, just as we snap that shot into the Conway, the 5100 decides he's full sending. If I'd held onto the shot for that split second longer, we'd have not taken a hit from that dude, which means we're now actually at one shot for the Conway. But the Conway's firing HE from the 120mm. Yeah, that's going to go well. So, well, I mean, I suppose the Conway's HE on the 120mm is pretty good, but against a hull-down M67, it's not going to quite work like that. If he fired premium, like the APDS rounds that thing gets, or even the standard AP, and he hit the cupola or the turret front with the premium rounds, he would actually pen us quite easily, because the Conway has good penetration on that gun. But the HE is just going to whittle us down slowly but surely, but it means we can just go and expose our turret to be able to try and get the shots, because we don't have to worry about him actually penning us. So we got some shots there into the Iron Rain, who was in a precarious position. And I think this is what I'm talking about with this map. It's where people get impatient, where people start to get a bit bored and start to push in a bit of a silly location. That's where the game starts to get lost for either team, because it is a very, again, it is a very stagnant style of play here on Pilsen Assault, and it tends to be this campy ridgeline brawl, and whoever blinks first loses. That's the way it is. So with the Mantis now a one-shot, what I'm going to do is pull into the middle area of this factory, or this destroyed factory. We're detected though, so I decided to duck into the building as quickly as possible to make sure that we weren't going to take a random shot. Going to wait to see if the CS-53 decides to drive over. We get the shot towards him, but that hits the pillar. Very little of the aim circle was on that pillar, and it somehow looped into it. But sure, we'll take it. So the Mantis is still alive, and I want to get rid of this Mantis. He is going to be a pain. So you know what? I'm going to be the patient little sausage I am, and I'm just going to move across this gap, which we actually snap a shot into the 75, get ourselves into a good defensible location behind the dead Primo Victoria, or Centurion 7-1, whichever one it is. We get ourselves into a good defensive location. I can't be shot by anyone else, and yes, Mr. Mantis, I am just going to sit here, stare at this corner until you die, because once you're dead, I can start focusing on other situations, but if I try and do anything else, he's going to do that and kill us. And because we were patient enough, we managed to stay there and just shoot him and finish him off. Can't quite find a shot at the Panther 2, who shot the T-95, who was backing up. The medium tank in the distance is getting shot, so we're going to try if we can get a shot into the side of the turret of the 75, which we do, and then we get back ourselves safe, because, well, we don't want to take another hit from that E75. He can kill us in one hit. We bounce off the party wagon? Okay. Thanks, game. Glorious scenes. And just as we look away, I haven't noticed yet, but there's the Conway. They're just driving in front of my gun. Thank you very much, Mr. Conway. I'll take the free kill. We're up to 2.8k damage with the 3 kills, 1420 assistance damage, and I decide, okay, I'm going to go try and get a shot into this SU-130PM, and then go after the E75. And that clearly, that SU-130PM has just gone, yeah, screw this. Screw you guys. I'm going home. And so we managed to finish off the Soviet Tier 8 tank destroyer there. And we're going to get ourselves up behind the E75 to put some shots into his rear. So we put a shot there into his rear for 232. He's now a one-shot for any of the tanks that are closing in, and the center sheet ends up shutting him down, meaning we secure a pretty good game there on Pilsen for the M67. And we finish with the victory. The 4 kills, 3.3, nearly 3.4k damage, 1420 assistance damage. The first class with the 1798 base XP. Pretty nice game there for the M67 in a Tier 9 game on a map that is pretty well suited to the M67, to be fair, because you can use the 12 degrees gun depression, you can be hull down on those ridge lines, and as long as you keep moving and make it as difficult as possible for them to be able to hit your cupola, it should be okay. And then you can use the actual okay-ish armour that you've got on the hull in the shape of the armour, so you can side scrape and all that good stuff, making it as difficult as possible for them to be able to pen you. So we're on to the 4th and final replay of this video. And we're here on this map, which is Death Valley. And on Death Valley, what I want to try and do is go to around H8, H9, because again, from that position up there, I can use the 12 degrees of gun depression that the M67 has, go hull down, fight that hull down brawl, and then once you've won that location as well, it's a very tall position to take, which means you get a good overview of the entire battlefield along this flank, which means you get some easy shots, and you can also spot people at good distances along it as well, meaning if you've got TDs and stuff further back, you can also get some pretty good assistance damage as well. If you're going to this position, you want to follow the exact route that I've just done, by the way, in going around that ridge line to get over here. And the reason for that is, and I said it to KB at the time when we were doing this on the Wargaming stream, we were playing this game, and I said at the time, you want to go round that ridge line rather than drive along the H line. Because if you go along the H line, and they have people like where the TVP and the Standard B are, you can get spotted very, very easily making the cross to this position. And if you get spotted doing that, it's really easy for any of the TDs that camp at E9 to absolutely eviscerate you. And it's a very easy way to go back to the garage very, very quickly. Because you'll just die. You'll get spotted as you're crossing the open. You're not quick enough to get across that massive open gap to get to this position that we're here now at. And yeah, it goes pretty badly pretty quickly. So we're here now in the position that I want to be. And that is getting some shots into the Sturm Tiger Ps and the medium tanks down below, like the TVP. But again, we're being as careful as possible to make sure that we are not overexposing ourselves for too long, so that we don't take any unnecessary shots. The artillery is still trying to get shots into us. Thankfully, the SU-122-54 misses his shot, but we try and snap the shot into the SU-122-54, and it just ends up dropping low. Try and get a shot into the side of the Mantis there, which puts him down to a one-shot, which is great because, you know, the Mantis is a pretty OP Tier 8 medium tank. Because the camo is so good on it and you've got that deadly clip potential, you really need to get rid of a Mantis if you can. We go for the lower plate shot on the Sturm Tiger P, but again, sadly, it ends up going low. Make sure we fully aim it this time again, and we finally get that shot into his lower plate. If we can get rid of that guy, that would be great, because naturally, he has a big gun, it hurts. As we bounce what I think was the other Sturm Tiger P. We don't unfortunately have the pen to actually track and pen a Sturm Tiger P. So you saw that shot go into his track that tracked him. A lot of other Tier 8s would be able to track and pen that guy, but we just don't quite have the penetration. We end up ricocheting off the TVP VTU. Off a TVP VTU. Alright, sure. But we have managed to track and pen this guy. And we've still got him tracked, and if he hadn't have used his repair kit there, we would have had him perma-tracked. But we're going to try and punish him before he gets safe, but he actually managed to get behind that little ridge where we can't quite get any shots in. But now with our team advancing, like where the TDs are at F9, what we're going to do is now push down the ridge and get into a position to get after the TD that's spotted at D9, get after the artillery, who we managed to put a shot into for 259. Can't quite get a shot into that Super Burt, though, as he manages to duck down. That was great driving me. That could have been a Tony Hawk Pro Skater move there. So we're going to push along with our medium tank and heavy tank. There's still 8 tanks left alive. Quite a few of their vehicles are on the 1, 2, 3 line. So we need to deal with this medium tank, the TD that was spotted over here, and the artillery as quickly as possible so we can get over there and try and defend our base if it comes to that. So there's the Sturmtiger P. We put a shot into the lower plate. And with him pulling back, we need to go get up close as possible and get after him. We're going to load the Flamethrower, because what I was thinking was possibly going into a position where we could just about see his tracks or something like that. And then by doing that, we can also then flame them. But with the stockade currently out in the open, I decided, okay, I've got the flames loaded. Let's just get the full load of Flamethrower into this guy and then switch back to AP. And as you can see, it takes a long time. It takes a long time to get all of that all of that heat jet out into the stockade. And in the time it took us to do that, we probably would have been better just firing the heat rounds, which we should be firing. We should be firing heat, as we're bouncing off a stockade, because 192 pen is actually really going to struggle with the front of an IS-3, which is what the stockade is. So we, yeah, needed the heat rounds, and that meant we could have got rid of that guy a little bit quicker. But we switched back to the Flamethrower again, so I can poke around this corner and only see the tracks of the Sturmtiger P, and then just flame him. I'm sitting here now to take the hit because I'm full health, so that he could shoot me and then KB could drive around and shoot him, but, well, Chewie decided that KB was the one that was going to die, so he did that. And we ended up with 3.7k damage with all the Flamethrower damage on Chewie there, and we're up to the 3.7k damage, 346 assistance damage, and there's only 2 tanks left on the enemy team, a medium tank and a tank destroyer in an unknown location. We have absolutely no idea where those guys are, so we're just going to go push and try and find them if we can, because we want to get that little bit extra damage if we can. We want to make this game that little bit better. It's the Mantis from earlier that was a one-shot. I'm pretty sure it was a one-shot. Oh no, it's a different Mantis, which is not good for us because that means we are taking a hit. We get a tracking shot in, which I was really hoping to keep him tracked there. Going to go for that tracking shot yet again, but unfortunately the shot goes to the far left and means that he ends up staying untracked. I decided to go after him and think, oh, I'm going to find an Iron Rain. And I think I said it at the time. I'm going to drive after this guy and drive around the corner into an Iron Rain, aren't I? Yep, I called it. As we get shut down by the Iron Rain. Sad times. As we actually got stuck on soapy rocks as well, which is awkward. We finished with 1 kill, 4.2k damage. The 2.3k blocks, we did block a fair bit there. 346 assistance damage. The second class, the Confederate, for that 1661 base XP. A pretty good game there for the M67, which is the new tank that they've released. This is the unskinned soldier on, which, like I say, generally the slight stat differences that make it better in terms of gun handling, you don't really feel the difference between that and the soldier and gun handling. And the soldier on is just quicker, so it's just generally better. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!